So we will not use a microphone because we have to hold it. There's no holder, so we may not, unless the speakers want to use a microphone. So from the back, I suggest you come forward. So good afternoon. My name is Alexander Gelman, Alex for short. I'll be chairing this session. I'm a IEEE guy right now, retired consultant, but IEEE, Vice President of Communication Society of Standards Activities, and a member of the IEEE Standards Board, and volunteering at IEEE for 33 years. So the session is about privacy, security, and sociability. And we have three distinguished speakers. We will do a 30 minutes tops presentation. Please hold that slot for 30 minutes. So we'll leave at least 10 minutes for questions. Every speaker has a 40-minute slot with interactive part. Our first speaker is Volker Scher. I have his short bio. He's a senior consultant technologist at EMC. As a German with a only special passion for everything about automotive. So he's so passionate that I feel, well, really, everything automotive. So how many cars do you own?
Well, I have
two cars. Okay.
Not too much. No, but it's quality instead of quantity.
Yes, right. Very good answer. At EMC, he is the Chief Technology Officer for the automotive industry with a mission to drive innovation and transformation with their automotive customers. So, Volker?
Thank you.
Try to start your presentation. You have to put it in the show mode for it to be displayed, otherwise it shows the background.
Okay, yeah. Okay, thank you, Alex, for the introduction. So the topic is intelligent-driven security for connected vehicles. The term intelligent-driven security is stolen from my colleagues from the company RSA, which is a daughter of EMC. And of course, the solution I would like to present and the context I want to put it is something which is put in the context by my colleagues of RSA. So about the content of that session is I want to give a little bit to set the frame of what is the threat the connected car is facing in regards to security, and who is the attacker that could attack connected cars, and how big is the threat. And then I want to put the context also to what is then the importance of security for connected cars in regards to a connected car being, well, participating in the Internet of Things. And then I want to, well, in our title is about intelligence-driven security. I want to explain what is behind that term, intelligence-driven security. So, for a start, let's look at the world we live in. The world we live in is given by some numbers we may see about connected vehicles and connected devices. According to a study of Cisco, presenting also today about security, there are currently 9 billion connected network devices in the Internet of Things. And this number is about to be doubled, it's expected to be doubled next year, and from there will be exponential growth over the next time. And the amount of data that is transferred, not stored, but transferred through the internet is about 27 exabytes in an average month. So that's a huge amount of data. And if you think that kind of data could be some of those cars driving along the street, and what we try to achieve is that minimize the implications or the occurrence of accidents. And as it is that kind of, let's say, all from the streets, there is some kind of difficulty to explicitly avoid accidents. You can do all the remediation to make cars safer and protect their drivers, but you cannot prevent an accident. And challenge if you have a car on the street. You know, the amount of cars on the same street is some kind limited. But if you look at connected cars, well, the amount of devices running around is exactly that number. So it's a higher challenge to avoid accidents and to keep, people out of the game that maybe want to cause an accident. And those people are there. You see, among those are driving. There are some bad people driving with us. And so to understand who those bad people are, I want to give you a journey to the cyber world underground. So if you look at the cyber world underground, there is a growing economy that is growing in business, and it's cybercrime as a service. Not sure if you know as a service concepts in IT. It is you can buy everything from, let's say, as a concept where you don't need to buy the complete stuff. You just order what you need in a case of a service to be fulfilled for you. So for example, you don't need to be a hacker anymore to really hack into a network, to hack into a company, to steal passwords, to steal some data or whatever. You can order that. And there's price list, there's a growing business that takes care about to provide you with all you need, whether it's some kind of software as a service tools that you can simply order, or you can hire or you can rent a complete infrastructure, cloud service, or you can order simply an attack. You know, it's delivering the end product. You know, I was in a session in Germany. People said in the future, what also described the as a service concept, you will not sell any drill machines anymore. You will sell the hole in the wall to the customer. So it's the end product that is finally sold. So you don't need to buy even the software. You can buy the attack in its own. And you can also buy the data or someone who steals the data for you. So that's that easy, that simple, and there's a big business behind. And one element of the cyber world underground, of course, is there's no geography limits. It's a complete worldwide organized organization that is money in doing cybercrime as a service. And there's big money. And so you can count on the fact that there's a lot of people putting a lot of efforts in getting money out of that business. I want to give some examples of how far that cybercrime as a service goes. And as an example, let's start with some tutorials that are available. This guy has a tool to hack into Google element, and he's offering his tools and some tutorials how to use it. Next step is really to provide some kind of infrastructure as a service offering. This is obviously someone from Russia offering some service. Maybe you can read that. Yeah. I have a translation also available here. You see how easy it is and how cheap to order just the service. You don't need to have that knowledge anymore to be really able to do the hacking on your own. You can simply order it. You don't have to own the complete chain of fraud anymore. You can just be part of the fraud chain and simply say, well, even if you just order to get some passwords stolen, then you know that the service that takes maybe 4 weeks of stealing passwords. After 4 weeks, you have enough passwords. You pay $400, for example, and then you can sell the password for $1,000 to the next element in the chain that then use those passwords to do some other stuff with it. So there's interesting business behind it. Just some other elements you can order: infection as a service. And so you can see here there's some botnets to be installed and how long do they run. It just simply costs the amount of dollars per week of runtime. And you get some credits along that love. Some other examples, complete tax as a service that can be ordered, denial of service attacks. You can simply order them in the internet. That can't be continued any longer. Just to give you an example, I think there's a serious threat of people doing a lot of business with that business model. Whether it's another example for hacking as a service as well, to say, well, do you need some military passwords? We have them available. You can use them for whatever you need them. And the very important thing is mobile malware is raising. And if you look at just connected car as just another mobile device in the Internet of Things, the car will be target for those kind of activities very soon as they are completely connected to the Internet. If you look at who are those attackers, so one thing to mention, of course, is they are very focused, they are very professional, they are very well resourced. So that's not spy kids anymore, you know, when the kids accidentally hack into some kind of network in a company and oops, we have hacked into it and don't know what to do. No, they are professional and they do it as for their business. So they are the anonymouses of this world, so just doing it to interrupt a crime scene or to have fun or whatever, you know. And there's an organized group, which is really some kind of criminals that are doing that as a business model. And not to forget, maybe the even most powerful is the nation state, and who are taking some kind of information into it and so on. And yeah, well, the cyber warfare maybe as an example, that could be part, you know, the attack in the future is not only attacking by really using weapons, but it could be attacking by doing some kind of damage in the car of a foreign country, for example. And it's very hard to tear them apart in the current situation, because there are some organized groups working for a nation state, and this is also be involved and so on. So there's no real separation between them anymore. But one thing is clear, there's a huge group of very high focus, very high skilled people doing business with that game to attack networks. If you look at how those attacks, there's our company RSA, which made those analyses. Now, in former time, those attacks were mostly just putting some viruses. You know, you don't want to make money with that, except your antivirus company. You do some, service attacks, maybe just for fun or to be famous in your group. Say, hey, I did that, great. But it was not the concept of really that destructive attack. And we can see now it gets more and more serious in disruptive and destructive attacks that will come in the future. So the urgency is even raising from my point. And so if we map that now to the situation we are with the connected cars and the Internet of Things, well, the car is I guess it's this direction is given. A car will be nothing else than a mobile device in the Internet of Things. But for me, I'm, as a passionate car driver, you know, in Germany we enjoy very much driving with 200 kilometers per hour over our famous Autobahn, and this is just in slow speed.
Slow moving weed.
Yeah, if there's a traffic jam, we have to reduce, you know, that's. But, you know, what I imagine is if my car is hacked, if my cell phone is hacked, well, unpleasant, and they can steal my private contact details or whatever. Is their life at risk? Well, not that immediate, probably not at all. But if I'm driving with 200 kilometers over my famous Autobahn, and someone hacks my car and switches brakes off, not only my life, but also the life of hundreds of people around me is risk. And so this is what I see in the connected car world. A car is the most dangerous connected device that to be hacked. Because no other, if I think of a truck, for example, driving this 80 miles per hour, 80 kilometers per hour over an autobahn, and then you switch off brakes and you rush into a traffic jam, for example, that's incredible damage. So a car is really a very interesting target for hackers. And well, I guess that's something of a law we can say. If something is interesting to make business with, it will be done. And if you look at the traditional security concepts, so what I observe in mostly, there's a traditional security concept that is really rely on perimeter security, pre-breach tooling, so keep hackers out. If I talk to some people in the automotive industry, they say our car is safe. It cannot be hacked. Well, if I look at those people I just introduced before in the first part, I would say there is a way to get in. They will assume your car is hacked. What then? And then the question is, how fast can you first detect the breach? And how fast can you react and remediate if something happens? And if I look at that picture here, for example, if I think I'm driving 200 kilometers per hour over my autobahn, and I get a security alert displayed, which says, well, be careful, your car is hacked. So I can have some kind of emergency switch off, which allows me to drive carefully to the next parking area and call someone who can fix it, for example. That's a different thing than driving this 200 kilometers per hour and suddenly my brakes are switched off. So I guess if my cell phone is hacked and then I get it realized a day later or 2 days later, that may be enough. If my car is hacked, I want to be informed more, maybe real time, if possible. That would be great and could save life, not only money. So what we observe in the security business that there's too much effort being taken on prevention and detection, and too less on remediation. So if you look at that here, if you say if the security wall is really hacked, you know, those little guys here should do the remediation and get it done, no chance. And if you look at the real life, we see that typically the traditional security concept doesn't work because a breach leads to compromise much faster than the company can discover it. When you have discovered it, it's mostly too late. So there's an increasingly difficult problem with that. So because in the past it was easy to separate bad from good. You know, if you look at that picture, that's very easy. You can instantly realize there's something bad. So this is, for example, with viruses also where you can detect a signature or whatever. That is easy to detect as a bad element and you can react. But in current times, you know, it's not that easy anymore. It's not separating bad from good. It is about understanding what anomaly could be. Something is not as usual as it is. Or something is an anomaly that leads to something different, but then we need to analyze it. Is it really a threat? Is it really bad? Or is it really, okay, something which is simply new? And so we need to have some more data to analyze. So we can say the information itself is king, but the context to analyze it is queen. And the good things about remediation in regards to security hackings is the good thing is no matter how carefully a hacker goes into your company or into your network, sometimes he has to do something which is not normal. And this is how you can catch him. So you need to identify whether anomaly is really bad, and you need to have some more data than just identifying some key elements and just a signature to it. So what the impact on security models is, in the past, historically, we had the reactive security model, which is perimeter-based, based on static controls and siloed management systems, or different management silos. And the intelligence-driven model is a new model that is risk-based, dynamic for IT control, and especially contextual in regards to the management of interactive systems. And the impact on budgets and people is, if you look at this, is a typical budget representation that is muchly focused on prevention, a little bit on monitoring, and very low focus on response. And we are strongly convinced that the future model should look like equal separation between monitoring, response, and prevention. So, what is intelligent-driven security? It's a combination of security analytics and big data analytics for the data. You need more data to identify the anomaly, and you have to a risk-based analysis of difference between what is normal and what is abnormal, and you have to put it in the right context, and you have to be agile for fast reacting and discovery. So what is risk-based? Risk-based enables to prioritize and manage incidents according to risk levels. We have RSA, familiar with the RSA incident manager, to realize what is the threat behind and to define the risk. So contextual means it helps to identify targets, threats, and incidents, to correlate big data and make intelligence to what has happened before and what may happen now, and is that a threat, is it something that needs to have a higher attention? So you need to bring an event in the context of other events. And then you need to have an agile analytics to realize and react on given in idle time, real-time detection of things. So you know we have an in-memory database analytics, which allows you really to identify threats in real time. And as a complete picture how the RSA intelligent-driven security management would look like, you have a big data collection of element of data, data collections, and you have the analytics layer with some alerting, reporting, monitoring, malware analytics, visualization of data, data leakage, database, and so on. And then for the governance, you have the compliance and business context element. You have then incident management workflow so that you can trigger events and actions, and especially, of course, not related to the active defense remediation. And all that connected to a network. Worth to say, if we talk about connected car security, our company is mostly based on focused on data center security. So if we look at the connected car elements, we are targeting the connected car in the backend infrastructure in the data center, so that we can track the communication between the car and its vehicle backend. Car-to-car communication is something that requires certain intelligence in the car. That is, I guess, from our point of view, for our company, a future element of investigation where we try to work with some partners together, as we have no footprint in the car itself. But we are a data center company, so we are looking after the data center communication part. And that allows at least to identify communication between the car and the backend. Yeah, so that was it for my part. So what I want to achieve is as a summary, when I talk about intelligent-driven security, it means the combination of security, monitoring, and big data analytics of a huge amount of data that allows us to identify correlation and put events into context. And it is not as easy as it was before because there's a lot of data to analyze. We have the possibility to do the big data analytics to really analyze that amount of data first. And second, in the first part was to raise the awareness of how professional attackers are in today. I guess talking about security, this is probably a no-brainer, but maybe it's worth to put it again on slides to see how instant, how real the danger is from my point of view. And for cars, as I said, I would say car is the most dangerous mobile device to be attacked. A nuclear plant is also dangerous to target for to be attacked, but it's not that connected, it's not that open. But a car open to communicate with the rest of the internet is a very interesting device.
Any questions?
Yeah, I mean, your nuclear plant example seems very sensible to me. You would not connect a nuclear plant. There might be some benefits that you could get from that, but the risk is so high that why would anybody do that? And I can't help but thinking that same thing with vehicles. I mean, you know, is there a reason why you have to have infotainment and everything? Why can't they just have a safety system that's independent, that's EEPROM programmed, it's not connected, you know, and then you can do all the traffic management and all this stuff after that? Do you have to do the whole healthcare.gov on the first day? Can't you just take it in slices?
Yeah, would you like to answer?
I mean, I don't know.
I'm not from the automotive industry. I'm an automotive driver, and I can say yes. I would like to have that kind of connectivity, and I'm probably willing to take the risk, if I'm honest. I must rely on, you know, I also take the risk, as I just mentioned, as a German car driver, I take the risk to drive 200 kilometers per hour, rely on the car manufacturer to say my car is safe to do that. And it is, but, you know. But the same for connected, you know, I really enjoy the possibility and rely on the fact that the producer I bought the car from take care about that. Can I rely on that all car manufacturers taking care about security in regards to connected car? I'm not that sure, honestly. Sorry.
So, my daughter has a Tesla. Well, she has rich parents. I don't, so I don't have a Tesla. So, I cannot imagine putting out that car not connected on the market. It's already so sophisticated that it has to be connected. They actually call her. She's driving, they call her, we are in your car right now, there's a problem, we'll pick it up tomorrow if it's okay with you, and then you get a loaner, we'll fix it. The car becomes so sophisticated that with